Good morning. Thank you, please. No, 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 no. Sorry. The class 20, right? Yes, the class of 2020 will lead the student body in an a cappella rendition of the alma mater. So, and a 1, and a 2, and a 1, 2, 3, hit it. Oh, put some muscle in it. Oh, people, help him, please. He who is upright, kind, and free from error needs not the aid of arms or men to guard him. Safely he moves with shield of truth and honor, strong in his virtues. Though he may search uncharted depths of ocean, or climb to heights before not dreamed or dared, or seek for truth in worlds to us yet hidden, God will sustain him. Thank you. Please be seated. I'll tell you what, that class of 20 needs to have a seat. Y'all just weary. Oh, buddy.
Don't make them Monday and Tuesday off.
Yeah, they need the time off, I guess. This morning's scripture is taken from the Gospel of St. Matthew, 25th chapter. Comes out of the Message. This, by the way, at least in terms of the Christian faith, is where the rubber meets the road. When he finally arrives, blazing in beauty and all his angels with him, the Son of Man will take his place on his glorious throne. And then all the nations will be arranged before him, and he'll sort the people out, much as a shepherd sorts out sheep and goats, putting sheep to his right and goats to his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Enter, you who are blessed by my Father. Take what's coming to you in this kingdom. It's been ready for you since the world's foundation. And here's why. I was hungry, you fed me. I was thirsty, you gave me a drink. I was homeless, you gave me a room. I was shivering, you gave me clothes. I was sick, you stopped to visit. I was in prison, you came to me." And then those sheep are going to say, "Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry and feed you, thirsty and give you a drink? When did we ever see you sick or in prison and come to you?" And then the king will say, "I'm telling the solemn truth. Whenever you did one of these things to someone overlooked or ignored, you did it to me. That was me." Now, usually that's where people stop this scripture. But here, take the other part. Then he will turn to the goats, the ones on his left, and say, "Get out, worthless goats. You're good for nothing but the fires of hell. And here's why. I was hungry. You gave me no meal. I was thirsty. You gave me no drink. I was homeless. You gave me no bed. I was shivering. You gave me no clothes. Sick and in prison, and you never visited." And then those goats are going to say, Master, what are you talking about? When did we ever see you hungry or thirsty or homeless or shivering or sick or in prison and didn't help? And he will answer them, I'm telling the solemn truth. Whenever you failed to do one of these things to someone who was being overlooked or ignored, that was me. You failed to do it to me. And then those goats will be herded to their eternal doom, but the sheep to their eternal reward. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Amen. We have 3 young people who want to show us something. They are Mr. William Taylor of Beech Grove, Tennessee, Miss Sinai Thomas of Laverne, Tennessee, and Miss Lane Allen of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. So, take it away.
All right, good morning, everyone. My name is William Taylor. This is my 6th year at Webb, and for my junior project, I built a desk. There were a few reasons why I decided to build a desk. The main ones were that I had an interest in woodworking. I already had all the tools, and my dad had lots of experience woodworking, so he could help me out during this project. So to actually begin my junior project, I had to decide what I wanted to build, and I knew I wanted to create something that I could use and something that challenged my capabilities. I wanted to build something unique. So I decided a desk met both of those criteria for me, and I looked on Pinterest to find ideas. I found this picture and I liked it because I thought it looked cool. I could see myself doing homework on this table. I'd use it, and I also liked the shelves on the side. So after that, I had to create the sizes I'd need for all the boards to figure out how long it needed to be because I needed to put it somewhere, and the materials I'd use. So, like I said, I already had most of the tools needed because my dad did woodworking, so I only needed a few materials. I used boards, screws, tabletop, and paints and stains. I also used Craig. This is a device that will screw in screws at an angle. It creates a stronger hold for the table, and it keeps the screws inside so they won't show on the outside. So, to actually begin cutting wood, I had to use a table saw, and the reason I needed this is because I ran into a problem. Surprisingly, Lowe's did not have the correct size of wood I needed. I needed a 2x8, but they had 4x8s. It wasn't a big problem. All I had to do was cut it in half. It would be the same length, but half the width. The table saw was very dangerous. There's lots of things that could go wrong, and an inexperienced person like me could get hurt using it. However, my dad helped me out, and I didn't get hurt. But after I cut all the boards to the correct size I needed, I used screws and glues to piece everything together. So the next step really was to create the X's on the sides. In this picture here, this is what would be on both sides of my table. That was the hardest part of my project. I think I used about between 4 to 5 boards total just trying to create the X's, simply because it was hard and I had constant trial and error. But when I finally got that finished, I decided to sand the table. That way I wouldn't have splinters when I sat down to write. And that only took about 2 hours. That was the easiest part of the project. Then I filled in the holes with wood filler. There's no holes sticking in my table. And I routed the edges to turn a rigid edge into a smoother edge. That would make my table look a lot more professional. From there on, it was pretty much downhill. All I had to do was stain and paint my table, and then sand the tabletop. In this picture, you can see the difference between what an unstained tabletop looks like versus the stain. It looks a lot better. Then I painted the bottom of my table white. I used 2 layers to do that, and then I attached the top. So here's some more pictures. The first 3 are pretty much how I created the X's. I started out cutting slices in the middle of the board, and then I used a chisel to chisel out the middle. I then placed the boards together to create an X shape, and I had to do that process twice since there's two sides of my table. And in this picture, it shows how I pieced my table together using a clamp. The first two right here is the Craig I used. First picture is what the holes look like. It screws it in at an angle, and I needed to use wood filler to cover that up. And then this picture is currently painting my table. I got sunburnt in that process. That wasn't fun. That's about it. From then on, I just had to attach the top. So I ran into a few issues with this project. I had to constantly create the design due to trial and error. Sometimes I would accidentally cut a board wrong, and it would totally alter the size of my table. Cutting the X's, like I said, was the hardest part of the project. I used different techniques, and finally one of them worked. Here's a picture that shows that the board looks like it would fit, but it's just off slightly and it wouldn't work. Inexperience also was a problem. I didn't know how to use most of the tools, and without my dad's help, I wouldn't be able to create the table. Patience was also a problem. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the most patient person, and this was a very time-consuming project. But with my help from my dad, I was able to get it done, and overall, I enjoyed the project. I'm happy with the way my final product turned out. I use it to do homework on, and I think it looks good. This is a hobby, and I'm looking into creating maybe a chair for my table, and I'd like to thank my mom and dad. My mom gave me the idea to build the table. My dad helped me out with using the tools. Mr. Bloom for being an amazing advisor. Tech crew for all the technical support. You all for listening. Here's my final product.
Hi, my name is Sanai Thomas, and this is my second year at Webb. And for my junior project, I decided to crochet a hat. So I chose this because my late grandma taught me how to make a hat when I was younger. And when I was thinking about my project, I was thinking about her passion for it, and it influenced me to do this for my project. So the 4 things I needed was a loom, which is the pink round thing. I needed a loom hook, which is the green thing, yarn, and a plastic needle. So my process was, first I needed to purchase the items, and then I also needed to secure the yarn on the front peg of the loom so the hat wouldn't come off. And then I needed to wrap the yarn on the loom 3 times to make sure the hat was thick enough. And then I needed to pull the bottom layers over, the 2 bottom layers over the pegs to keep the process going. And then I also needed to repeat steps 3 and 4 to make sure the hat was long enough. And then after I was done with that, I removed the hat from the loom. And then I used the plastic needle to close the hat when I was done. So some challenges I faced while making this project was finding the most efficient technique because I wanted to find the best technique to make my hat look the best. Another one was taking the hat off too early because when you take it off too early, you have to start the whole process over. And I did this about 10 times and it was very frustrating. And then another challenge was I took too many layers of yarn off the loom. So you had to start the whole process over because it just messes the whole thing up. So what I learned from this project is that I don't want to continue making hats because it wasn't fun. I also learned to appreciate people who make artisan crafts because I know it's hard and I wouldn't want to do it. And also I learned that I'm not as creative and I'm not as into crafty things as I thought I was. So this is my hat. No. I wanted to give a special thanks to my mom and dad for buying the items and also filming the videos. Ms. Newberg and Ms. Allen for being great advisors and keeping me on track. Kat and Azaria for guiding me through my project. My brother Trey for also filming the video. Tech crew for the technical support and all of you for listening.
Hello everyone, my name is Lane Allen, and for my junior project I decided to paint my life onto a denim jacket. I did this project not just because of my love of painting, but because of how drastically my life has changed over the past few years. Also, denim painting has been a huge trend lately, and I wanted to see what it was all about. I did some extensive internet research for this project. I looked at a lot of fashion blogs like Fashion Club and Kessler Ramirez. The instructions were all pretty much the same throughout each blog, so I was confident in what I was doing. I then had to gather my materials, including acrylic paint, fabric medium, a palette, a jacket, a way to keep the jacket stable, a black fabric Sharpie to outline, and synthetic brushes. I couldn't use natural brushes with acrylics because the brushes would absorb all of the paint and keep it from spreading. Thankfully, I already had everything at home but the fabric medium. Finding inspiration was definitely the most difficult part of this project for me, so I devised a little list of goals for myself. Taking a literal approach to this project and painting my face on the back of the jacket was not what I wanted to do. I wanted something that I would realistically wear, so I decided to go for a more stylized approach that included things that represented my most precious memories of my family and milestones that I've gone through. I looked online on Pinterest for ideas of just jacket painting, but they were all really simple, like the one on the right. I found that tattoo designs were actually a lot more helpful for me, like the one on the bottom right, as far as finding little symbols to represent certain things. So when I had my inspiration, I drew my full colored plan out on paper first. Before I started painting, I needed to find a way to stabilize the jacket and keep the fabric still, to make it easier to paint, and also so that the paint wouldn't crack if the fabric stretched. I then taped the edges so that the edges of the painting would be crisp. I measured the dimensions, making them about 2.5 inches bigger on the jacket than on my paper version, which was really boring because it was very detailed. I then took a blue pen to sketch my design and took a black fabric Sharpie and traced over it. I then mixed my paints with 3-part acrylic paint to 1 part fabric medium. The painting process was the most entertaining part of this project for me, but also the longest part. It was where my ideas started to all pull together, which was really motivating. Throughout this project, I pieced in pieces of my grandfather, my mom, and my adoption. The painting itself depicts an antique TV with palm leaves on the frame, showing a picture of a red and blue rose being interposed by a white rectangle. On the top, it says "Dumb Blonde," and on the bottom, it has leaves growing out of the bottom of it. The writing on the top is a reference to Dolly Parton, who is my mom's favorite musical artist and one of mine as well. The rose represents my grandfather, who used to grow the most beautiful roses in front of his house when I was younger. I remember every time I came over, he would give me a bright orange rose, which is one of my most precious memories. There's also a lot of threes throughout the project, including the 3 buttons on the TV and also the 3 stars next to the E. And also my father's initials on the TV. This is a reference to my adoption, which happened earlier in February of this year, where my stepdad, Andrew, actually adopted me, making my little family, legally 3 people instead of 2. I learned a lot through this project. Specifically, I learned a form of meditation for myself. Listening to music while painting actually turned out to be very calming for me and helped my focusing skills. I also learned an attention to detail, because when it came to the painting, if I were painting the big background or the littlest little circle, I had to pay really close attention to make sure the painting was even and that I knew what I was doing. I also learned why hand-painted clothes are so expensive. Going to the craft fair and seeing hand-painted clothes that were $100 to $300 was always really outrageous for me, but given the amount of emotion and time that goes into each piece, it's kind of remarkable that they would sell them at all. I definitely did face some challenges during this project. Learning the proportions of medium to paint was hard, because if I put too much medium, the paint would be translucent and watery. Also, getting supplies was a challenge, because at the beginning of this project, I couldn't legally drive on my own yet. And then learning how different fabric painting is. You can't layer fabric paint, because if you do layer it, you risk it peeling when you wash the jacket. So you have to do everything in one layer. This project turned out better than I could have imagined. I'm super proud of it, but I do not deserve all the credit. I'd like to say thank you to my dad, Andrew, for not only adopting me, but also driving me to get all of the stuff I needed. I'd like to say thank you to my mom and my grandparents for the inspiration, and to my friends for keeping me sane after hours of painting. Some other people who deserve some major thanks are Mr. Griggs for being a great advisor, Tech Booth for pulling this presentation together, and all of you for listening. Here are my citations and my finished product.
There, thank you. Thank you, presenters. Old Dolly, she's dumb all the way to the bank. But, sir.
I wanted to say that it bothered me that people would call Dolly Parton dumb and blind, because especially during anti-bullying month and everything.
Yeah.
But I watched this program on PBS called Country Music, and it was.
And what'd she say?
She said, well, now you correct me if I'm wrong, but it was something like, well, it doesn't bother me for people to call me dumb and blind, because I know I'm not dumb, and I'm not blind either.
That's right. That's what she said. She said, I ain't dumb and I ain't blonde either. But I tell you what. But all right. Let's see here. Focus, people. Focus. Reminder for those of you that signed up for the Thomas Magnet School Fair on Saturday. Meet Mrs. Douglas in the Rand parking lot at 7:50 a.m. If you're meeting us there, please arrive by 8:15 a.m. Harrison Andrews, Devin Palmer, report to the health center right after chapel. If you lost a SIM card, please see Ms. Crick downstairs. All right, from the floor. Mr. Folk.
Yes, I believe Mr. Farouk Hamadan has another announcement for us.
Oh, Lord love us. Here we go.
Good morning. As you know, our school consists of football, consists of volleyball too. But, go. team, and our golf team was most successful this season. Falafel are on the state level. They're achieving great success. Great, even second place on the state. Wow.
How's Stone's going?
They're going good, and having a really consistent season, and that's all I can ask for. Finish my goal.
That's about it for them. They're doing great. What up, cheerleaders? They contribute their success to, if we win in other sports, it's partially because of them. They do a lot of jobs, like they give us motivation, inspiration, etc. It's going to get something. Volleyball. Volleyball. One of our players actually had a birthday today. Leia, congratulations, sir. Shane McKnight is doing a great job. Captain. Also, we're not doing a great job. We won our last home game, and actually, when we had a home game, we always won them. It's not a mistake.
Honestly, say I'm going to come on this list. We have home games because it's really cool to make this to be playing hard. And I think that's what really the most like to see the crowd get loud and cheer for some stuff and not do something. So that's all it is.
They want to support you. If we support them, we will do that. But even if we thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Campbell. Camp, sorry.
My fourth period. Raise your hand if you took one of these already, please. Unless I can see it. Only two of you took it. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Northrup.
I need to see Allison Parfait and Brooklyn Wheelan. I have your money for you. And Molly, Kate, Grace, we just chat really quickly and that's all.
Ms. Newberg.
I have two quick announcements. The first thing I want to say for the high schoolers who are getting ready to go to fall break, just a little quick reminder that when you come back on Thursday, Vincent Lear Polytechnic Institute will be here, and on Friday, the University of Alabama and Stanford University will be here. So check Naviance to sign up. The last thing I want to say is, if you were traveling to the volleyball game last night, please stand up. Please, please, please. These ladies won their game last night to close out their season. The rest of us travel on Thursday for our first district game. Thanks, guys. Have a great
day. All right, youngin.
So at middle school and upper school lunch, there's going to be a get well card for Miss Linton. It's a big piece of paper, a bunch of pens for you to sign. Don't take the pens, they're mine, and I'll hunt you down if you take them. Miss Linton's been nothing but good to me since I came to this school, and she deserves so much more than a card, but it would mean a lot to me, and I'm sure it would mean a lot to her as well, with you sign as you're in line going to lunch. So thank you.
Y'all do that. The word I have on Ms. Linton is that she underwent a successful surgery to replace a hip last night. She is recovering well, already been up walking around. I believe going home today, I think, and will be out for about the next 6 weeks. So please keep Ms. Linton and her family in your thoughts and prayers as you go forward, and we'll see her back in time for lessons and carols. Anyway, well, one hope.
I think she'll be back before that.
Oh, well, yes, of course. Anybody else? Sir?
So, we're having a coffee house on October the 18th. I just needed to meet with anyone who wants to play in the back of chapel. If you think you want to play, but you're not sure you want to play yet, or if you want to learn more about it, just come meet with me in the back of chapel. We're going to talk more about this next week when we get back from call break. But just for those of you who want to play something and don't have it prepared yet, come talk to me.
Anybody else? Anything else? Going once? Going twice? Boss, you're it.
Mrs. Linton's pretty ambitious. She texted me and said, I think I'll be back in 2 weeks. Let's see what happens. It'll probably be somewhere between the 2 and 6, I think. We'll see how it goes. Great job, presenters. Thank you very much. For the break, let's everybody be safe, have fun. If you're traveling, safe travels to you all, and make good decisions while you're gone. We hope to see everybody here on Wednesday. See you then. Have fun this weekend.
God bless you all. Please rise for the pledge. Y'all finished? Bunch of snobs. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sit down. Let this weary class out. Wow.